The Brotherhood have pretty much always been my favorite faction in the Fallout franchise. I know I joked for a little bit that I actually like the Enclave, but no, the Brotherhood always holds a special place in my heart. At the end of the day, it's probably simply because when I started playing Fallout, I was a little kid and who wouldn't want to side with the guys with the really cool armor? But either way, due to the vastness and beauty of modding, there are actually a ton of mods out there to improve the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4. Some of these are lore changes, minor fixes to actually make them feel a bit more appropriate in the game. Other ones actually augment some of their level lists, bring new equipment to them that I personally am a big fan of, and in today's video I am actually going to be showing you 5 of those mods. If you want to see more of this or like another iteration, you can leave a like on this video or comment down below like, hey, make more of this. But before we jump into it, today's video sponsor is going to be nobody. Yeah, no, there's no sponsor, but I actually have a Twitter down below if you want to follow me, that'd be cool. So what's a better mod to start with than Enter the Brotherhood? What this mod's actually going to do is change a pretty glaring inconsistency or plot hole that is present in vanilla Fallout 4. To get the Brotherhood into the Commonwealth, what you actually have to do is deal with Kellogg. Obviously there's a few ways as to how to deal with that, but after exiting that building and actually completing the Reunion's quest, as you go onto the rooftop of Fort Hagen, you'll get that really cool cutscene where the Brotherhood are flying in. And I honestly have no idea why Bethesda made this decision. If you actually think back to the quest with the Brotherhood of Steel, like the very first one, known as Call to Arms, you are helping Paladin Danse to get a long-range transmitter to literally contact the Brotherhood of Steel and call for reinforcements.
I've been trying to send a distress call to my superiors, but the signal's too weak to reach them.
Sir, if I may.
Proceed, Halen.
I've modified the radio tower on the roof of the police station, but I'm afraid it just isn't enough. What we need is something that will boost the signal.
Our target is ArcJet Systems, and it contains the technology we need, the deep-range transmitter.
So technically speaking, you can go do the whole Kellogg quest, then go meet up with the Brotherhood of Steel, except the whole time as you're trying to get this long-range transmitter, the Brotherhood are already in the Commonwealth. Yeah, it really makes no sense. Enter the Brotherhood's actually going to change this, and it's going to make it so after the Call to Arms quest with Paladin Danse, the Brotherhood will enter into the Commonwealth, or rather 1 week after the completion of that quest, the Brotherhood will enter into the Commonwealth. Whether or not you go see Kellogg is totally irrelevant. This is going to be one of those quality of life fixes that just kind of patches up a big gaping plot hole that was otherwise present. As fun as mods like that are, I know what you guys like. You like having content in your game, and the next mod is going to bring in some new content for the Brotherhood of Steel, that in the form of the M2045 Magnum revolver rifle. This is going to be a really cool new piece of equipment in Fallout 4 for a number of reasons. First and foremost, just the thing itself is cool, it has cool functionality. As you can kind of see, it is a big revolver, and as you fire each shot and reload, the last shot's actually going to do 50% more damage, hence having that big bullet in the middle. Kind of similar to that Lamont revolver that you saw the Man in Black using in Westworld. Either way, the other cool part about this mod is actually the lore behind it. More or less the backstory is, this was developed before the onset of power armor, and it really didn't make a ton of sense. It was this big, bulky, and heavy rifle that obviously was armor piercing, but it was too difficult for a typical guy to use. So it saw little use and eventually was decommissioned. But then with the onset of power armor, it 1 was way easier to use, and 2 had a totally new use. You could manage the recoil while in power armor, but in addition, the armor piercing aspect of this made it great against power armor. But since it was earlier decommissioned, there are so few of them around the Commonwealth. And with anything that is high-tech and very scarce, the Brotherhood are on that. So most of these are actually found in Brotherhood locations, or actually integrated into the leveled list of the Brotherhood. Because at the same time, if you go against the Brotherhood, this is actually going to be a great tool against them for piercing through their armors. All around, I think this comes together to make a really cool mod. Again, after installing this, you'll see other Brotherhood members using it fairly often. I think it's just a cool new piece to actually flesh out their leveled list.
Taking fire.
On the other side of the coin, we also do have the B35C Heavy Brotherhood of Steel armor. This is something I've showed you guys a few times over the past few years, and it really is a awesome armor mod for Fallout 4 and one of my personal favorites. There's really only like one type of heavy armor in Fallout 4, that with the marine armor. It's only added in through a DLC, in fact. Well, the B35C Heavy Brotherhood of Steel armor is going to fix that. What it's going to do is similar to the previous one, actually integrate into the level list of the Brotherhood. You're going to find a ton of Brotherhood of Steel soldiers wearing either full sets subsets of this armor if they are higher level, or different components depending on which rank they actually have in the Brotherhood, and it looks really cool. This is a viable armor on them, but also on yourself. I actually really love the look of it. It looks like something that you would be wearing when everything out there is trying to kill you and you don't actually know how polluted the air is. And in addition, there's tons of color customization options. Maybe you don't side with the Brotherhood, you just want them to be a bit more powerful. You can spec this out to be the Enclave, to be the Brotherhood Outcast, or a ton of other things. And to come full circle, it kind of gets back to my original point. It's going to add in a new and very viable heavy regular armor variant into Fallout 4. Seemingly Bethesda didn't really have too many of these in the game because of the onset of their new power armor system. You know, not all of us actually want to use power armor. Some of us enjoy using these heavy armors instead. Again, this is one of my favorite mods. It has been for a very long time, and if you're not using it already, I think there's a ton of great reasons to be. So back into those lore and consistency aspects, we actually do have the Brotherhood Power Armor Overhaul. This is a pretty cool mod that some of you may enjoy, other ones may not enjoy so much. What this is actually going to do is change the insignia and armor distribution on different Brotherhood soldiers. So now right off the bat, Brotherhood soldiers are going to have their kind of ranking on their power armor. It's going to be labeled on them. But in addition to this, depending on what rank they actually are, depends on which power armor they get. If you guys don't know, in the lore, the T60 is meant to be a very high-powered power armor, and also not super common. So it doesn't make a ton of sense for every Brotherhood of Steel Knight to actually have that rare armor. So now instead, only some of the higher level ones are actually going to be wearing this, Knight Commanders and above. And again, I think this mod in particular may not be for everyone. I personally like it. It adds in a few little changes that are pretty cool. It's nice being able to see, alright, so that's actually like a pretty high ranked guy, and he does have a pretty powerful power armor. Or alternatively, be like, you got power armor, but you kind of suck otherwise. And one other cool aspect of this, depending on how many of the Brotherhood quests you complete, you actually can get these own insignia on your power armor. So last but not least, we have one of my favorite mods of all time for Fallout 4, that's going to be some assembly required. So this isn't as specific a Brotherhood mod as all the other ones on this list, but it still does directly affect them. What some assembly required is going to do, and it's a fairly large mod, but to some eyes, it's actually going to make power armor in Fallout 4 significantly scarcer, so you barely ever see it. A lot of the places where you previously found full sets of power armor, now you'll just find one component of it, and there's only a few frames scattered around. But of course, the trade-off being now power armor is significantly stronger. When you see an enemy in power armor, or you yourself are using power armor, you're going to feel pretty powerful. The effect of this being a massive buff to the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4. This is in particular satisfying to use when you actually go against the Brotherhood. It makes them a truly formidable force. The whole ideology behind the Brotherhood is to have the highest tech gear and equipment, and I feel like after using this mod, it truly shows. When you see a power armored knight coming at you, you kind of are scared because you know it's going to take a lot to take that guy down. In addition, one other thing I really like through this mod is it actually removes all the instances of T60 power armor and only makes it available through the Brotherhood of Steel. So you're not just going to stumble upon a random set anywhere in the Commonwealth now. You have to join the Brotherhood of Steel to get access to that, which makes sense again, because it's meant to be a more rare and powerful power armor that, you know, just wouldn't be laying around. They wouldn't have just left it there. In general, I find this to be a really enjoyable mod to use, but it also does have significant benefits for the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys do want to see a part 2, I'd love to hear it in like the comments, or you could tweet at me, whatever it may be. So for today's like fun fact, we're actually going to look at a study talking about violent video games. Of course, this has been like a hot topic lately, people saying violent video games are very bad for society, but what does like the research say? What are people actually finding about this? So this isn't actually like an article collecting its own data, but it's actually a meta-analysis. If you guys don't know, meta-analysis more or less looks at a bunch of other studies done and kind of collectively looks at the results of all of them in an effort to actually get like a bigger picture view, not just looking at this individual study, but the 10 studies on this topic, combining all of that data into one. So this meta-analysis looked at 98 studies and in turn 37,000 participants and found that violent video games actually did lead to higher aggression in people playing them. And in addition to that, it actually led to less pro-social outcomes, which pro-social more or less meaning like the desire to help others. Now on the flip side, they also had pro-social video games, so video games where you're helping others, or maybe more peaceful games where the main point is to actually help others. And those types of games actually led to increased pro-social behavior. I personally found this pretty interesting because it obviously goes kind of against the grain. A lot of people say the opposite of what this meta-analysis actually found. But either way, I personally found it to be pretty interesting. Again, I'll have a link to it down below. It was conducted in 2015, so you could say that's outdated, but is it really? Did games really change that much in the past 3 years? If anything, it's probably just going to get me to read more articles about the results of video games on behavior. Either way, as always, again, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.
We made that look easy.